Okay, in this tutorial we're just going to go over real quickly how you can use Photoshop to create a simple logo. It's a pretty simple process. We're just going to go up to the menu bar to start off with here, and we're just going to go to the File and New menu, and we're just going to create a blank document. In this case I'm just going to keep my width and height at 7 by 5 inches with a white background and go ahead and say OK. And now I have a blank document to work with. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the text tool, and I'm just going to come out here, and you can choose whatever text you want. It doesn't really matter what text. I'm just going to go with something simple, Times New Roman, for this. And just come out here and type some text, and in this case I'm going to imagine I own a plumbing business. My uncle actually did own a plumbing business, so I'll go ahead and name it Horger Plumbing. And what I'm going to do for my logo is, instead of having it centered, I'm just going to go ahead and click in front of the P here in plumbing. And I'm going to use the space bar to go ahead and kind of space plumbing over so I get a little bit offset, and then I'll go ahead and go from there. Now you can really add at this point whatever style you want to add to your text. I'll just highlight the text layer and come down to the layer style menu, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to change my color from black. Let's go ahead. I'm going to make it a blue color. So let me just go ahead here and make it sort of a royalish blue. Kind of go ahead with that. I'm going to add a stroke, and instead of red I am going to make my stroke black, and I'm going to lower the size to 1, so I only have 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and add some drop shadow on it, and there we have the Horger Plumbing, the text part of the Horger Plumbing logo. Now I'm going to use my marquee tools to go ahead and add a little bit to this logo. First of all, I'm going to come over here to the toolbox, and I'm going to come down on the right hand column, and I'm going to come down to where I find the ellipse tool. Now if you haven't used this before, it'll be at the rectangle tool. It's defaulted to the rectangle tool. To get to the ellipse, you could just right click and go to the ellipse tool, and I'm just going to come out here and I'm going to use black. So I'm going to keep my foreground colors black, and I'm just going to go ahead and draw an ellipse. And you will notice I now have a black ellipse that covers up Horger Plumbing. Of course, it's on top of Horger Plumbing in the layers palette. The first thing I need to do to this layer in order to accomplish what I want to accomplish is what's called rasterizing the layer. Rasterizing the layer takes this layer, this shape, and it basically just converts it to a graphic. Your text and your shapes, they're not graphics right now, they're editable. I could go in and change these. I want to create a graphic that is on there, and the way I can do that is called rasterizing it. And all I have to do is come down here to the layers palette, and I can just go ahead and right click, and up will pop my little menu, and I can go ahead and I can go to rasterize layer. And now you notice if I look down here at the layers palette, it's still named shape 1, but it looks a little bit different, and there's my shape in the layers palette. Now at this point I'm going to use the elliptical marquee tool to get rid of a bunch of this. I don't want the entire circle, so it's a pretty neat process. It's a pretty simple process. I'll just come up here to my upper left, and if you haven't used this, you'll be defaulted to the rectangular marquee tool. You can just right click on it and choose elliptical marquee. And now I'm going to come out onto my image, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag my elliptical marquee tool all the way across. And I'm going to use my move tool to reposition that little section there. You can see what I did with it. I go ahead and hit delete on the keyboard, and away it goes. Now it's not exactly where I want it, so I can just grab my move tool and I can kind of realign what I have there, and I have a nice little logo going with Horger Plumbing. Now one thing I want to do, I want to go ahead and step backwards. When you grab your elliptical marquee tool, up in your tool options bar, you'll have several options. You want to make sure that you're over here, you're on this third option. It'll say subtract from selection. What that's telling it is when you drag your elliptical marquee tool out here and you hit the delete key on your keyboard, that you want to get rid of that part of the selection. And that's what I did. So I could also go ahead, if I wanted to, I could add layer styles to this shape. Just with that layer highlighted, I could come down to my layer style icon, and for instance if I wanted to add a stroke, I could go ahead and go on stroke, and you see that stroke goes out there. Now I'm not going to do that. If I wanted to, I could, so let me go ahead and uncheck that and get rid of it. And I could add anything. I could add drop shadows, gradient overlays, whatever. I'm actually not going to do anything to that. I kind of like the way that looks, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. Another thing that you could do, you don't have to do, but you could do, I could come back out and I could grab my elliptical tool and I could draw another circle just like the beginning. Could go ahead and rasterize that layer. And now I could grab my elliptical marquee tool and I could drag another selection out here. And let me see if I can get this exactly where I want it. I'm going to use the arrow keys to kind of move it around on my keyboard. And let's just imagine I wanted it there. I could go ahead and hit the delete key again. And so now I deleted another section. And I have two areas that I could move around. I could grab the move tool, highlight shape 2, and I could actually move this around to wherever I wanted it. And I could kind of just mess around with it and see if I like it. Now in this case, I don't know if I like it. I kind of liked it better off how I had it to begin with, so I'll just take shape 2, drag it down to the trash can and delete that. And I kind of like that look right there. To tidy it up a bit, I'm just going to grab my crop tool and I'm just going to crop it so that it only takes the space I need. Go ahead and make my crop selection, hit enter, and now I think I got a pretty neat little logo that we took maybe 5 minutes to make. What I want you guys to do is I want you guys to go ahead and make a logo using the process I just showed you. You can do whatever you want to do. You can just make one simple shape around your logo, or you could add multiple shapes. Like I said, you can go into these shapes and you can go into the layer style menus and you can do whatever you wanted. You could add gradient overlays. See, that kind of looks cool. You could choose whatever gradient you wanted and just kind of spice it up and play with it and do whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want to do to the text and just kind of have fun with it and see what kind of interesting things you can make. In my case, I actually kind of just going to leave it plain, just black for now. When you're finally finished, I want you guys to go up and go to the File and Save As menu, and just like we have done with every other thing, we're going to save it our name. So I'll go ahead and go Mike Horger hyphen. In this case, I want you to name it Logo, and then go ahead and save it into your student folder. And when I get back to school, we'll put those on a flash drive, and I'll get them all graded for you.